Hey, what's going on, Can Do viewers? This is Jeff, and so I remember when I was in high school, I remember being a school counselor, and I remember one of the biggest things, especially when I was a counselor, is students came to me all the time with the same, I don't know, like 5 or 8 questions. It was like the same questions over and over and over again, every year, year after year, and they were the same questions that I had. They're probably the same questions that you have, and I think one of the big problems is we can't always make it down to our guidance counselor or school counselor to ask these questions, or maybe we don't feel brave enough to ask the questions because you think somebody else knows, or I don't know what it is. But so what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring you here today. This is Dr. Stirk. Dr. Stirk came into the Can Do You headquarters just to hang out with us. She is the author of this book. It is, when I met her at a conference, and I was like, yes, like somebody finally did it. This book, it's called College UnMazed, Your Guide to Navigate the High School to College Maze. And I think that's a perfect title. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you a couple questions, at least 3 questions.
Awesome.
But before I do, why'd you write this book? Like, you went through college, you went and got your master's, you got your doctorate, everything was fine for you. What's the why behind why you wrote this?
Well, one, I love helping students just like you do, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, when I meet with families, they have so many questions. And I realize, when so many school counselors have such a big caseload, it's hard to answer the questions for the students.
Right.
And unfortunately, we're seeing students really have that desire for college or post-secondary education, but they don't have the tools and resources to do so. And to be frank, I just wanted to help my own program. I just wanted to help my own students. Like, how can I give somebody the information so when they came and spoke to me, we could have like a real conversation so I didn't have to say the same thing over and over again. So really, it was just to be a tool and a resource to really walk students kind of by themselves to self-pace through the whole college process.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so if a student wants to get this, how can they get it?
Easy. Just go to collegeunmazed.com. We're on Amazon. We have a website. So yeah,
and I love it. And it's not like one of those like big, long, boring textbooks that's it's like, I don't know if you guys can see this, but like, it's got infographics. It's like, they're like.
I love color. And I'm a visual. I was a teacher first. And so I'm actually a history teacher. So I was always drawing stuff up on the board. And so for me, learning visually through like a graph or an infographic is the way I learn. And there's little activities. So we just keep you moving along the path so you can do it all by yourself.
Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. So here's one of the biggest questions I ever get. I got it like 8 million times. And it's a great question because there are like more than 12,000 colleges and universities out there. Mm-hmm. So how on earth could you possibly pick the right one? Like, what kind of advice would you have for kids if they're sophomores, juniors, seniors, and they're starting to eye up and they're like, whoa, that's a lot of colleges?
Yeah, it's hard because, obviously what you're looking for, Jeff, in a college and what I'm looking for might be very different. Yep. And so what we often call is something called fit. And I don't really like the word fit because I think it's sort of like, it brings in a lot of emotion. Like, oh, did you like the campus? Was it pretty? How was the food? Yeah. It's not, does it have the things I need to actually be successful?
So that's the filter.
That is the
success.
filter.
It's like,
it's success. It's, does it have the opportunities for me to actually be who I need to be and to grow that person? Yep. So we actually, in the workbook, we actually bring it into the 6 keys of college fit. 6. Okay. So the first thing is we talk about your academic match. Does the college match who you are? Like, and that could be test scores, it could be GPA, but it's also like selectivity. Can I get in? Do my scores?
That's a great one. I used to have kids come into me all the time and I'd be looking at their transcript or I'd pull up their GPA and they might have like a 2.5 GPA, and they're like, I want to go to Harvard. And I'm like, I love you. However, so that's great. And so how can students find that academic requirement information? What are some of the best resources you know of?
I think one of the easiest resources, it's not a pretty website, but College Navigator. It's run by the Department of Education. Okay. But it has tons of information. Also KPEX, College Board. They're all pulling from sort of the same database
of information.
Yeah, and we actually show you within the workbook on how to look up that information. So
that's in here too.
That's in there too. But I also think a lot of students that are, especially minority students, low income students, they have like the 3.8 and then they
Yeah.
sell themselves short. So there's some times where some kids are going too big,
Sure.
and some kids need to go higher.
Yeah.
So it's finding that place of like, where am I gonna fit? So academic match is a big part, but that's not the only part. The other one is career match. Does it have my major? Does it have internships? Does it have study abroad opportunities? Does it have an alumni network? Can it actually provide me the steps I need to have the career I'm looking for?
Okay, so academic, career.
Career, financial.
Okay.
And, and that's something that a lot of families ask about, right? Is how am I going to pay for college? And some families can just write the check and be able to do it. But there is a misperception that college is not affordable. College is very affordable. Like here, we're in Southwest Florida.
Yeah.
Our community colleges is only $3,500 a year for a full year of tuition.
$3,500. I
$3,500.
didn't even know that. I want to go back to college now, get another degree.
I know. And so when you think about over your lifetime, having a college degree, you make $1 million more in your lifetime by having that piece of paper.
How about that?
So when I talk about $3,500, but
That's
yet your
that's a
return on
fantastic,
investment is $1 million. And there are some really expensive colleges that if you have need, they'll pay for it all.
Wow.
So you need to find where
Right.
that niche is to, can I pay for it? And also sort of remove that barrier of finance.
All right, so it was academic, career, financial.
Personal match.
Okay.
So what's best for me? Do I want a very diverse campus? Do I want a small campus? Do I want private? Do I want public? How close do I want to be from home? How
Right,
far,
how far,
do
right.
I want to be from
Yeah,
home?
yeah.
And that's, like I said, going back to diversity, culture. So it's a little bit more of that kind of personal,
Yeah.
how do I feel at this campus?
Okay.
So personal match is really huge, and that can make or break. So one of the data points that we give students is something called retention rate. How many students show up that first day and then come back the second year?
Yeah, how likely am I to be successful when
Exactly.
I get there? Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So personal match,
And so that's public information?
public information.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you just have to, but you have to know how to find it
Right.
within that context.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So we have academic, career, financial, personal match. Then we have student support.
Okay.
So once I'm there, if I have additional needs, say I have a 504 IEP, what does that look like at the college? How are they going to
Right.
help me navigate if I need extended time?
Right.
Or if I need help writing or with math, because
Yeah.
math isn't my subject.
Yep.
What is it like to get into a tutor?
Yep.
How often can I get into a tutor? And also, if I, maybe I'm going to be a little homesick and it's hard to transition, what about mental health services?
Right.
How am I going to actually get some of those kind of personal wellness things is really important as well.
Amazing.
And we got one more,
One more. What is it?
student outcomes.
Student outcomes. What's
So that means if I graduate from here, how much am I going to make? Am I going to graduate on time? And if I do have to take out loans, am I actually able to pay back my loan? So once I
Wow.
leave, what does my life actually look like
Yeah.
with this degree from
Right.
this college?
So like an extreme example might be like, you might not want to pay $520,000 for a degree and then be a teacher making $45,000 or $50,000 a year.
100%.
Got it. Okay. And how do you find that out? Like what would you say to a student? Because I think that's one of the biggest ones, and that's one of the biggest turnoffs, I think, of college that might discourage somebody. They have this real altruistic or like beautiful idea of what they want to do. Like they want to do illustrations in a children's book or something, or they want to just be a poet or something. Yeah. But these schools are costing, sometimes upwards $50,000, $100,000 a semester or a year.
Yeah.
How can they find out? How can they do that math?
Like in terms of the return on investment, like
Yeah.
if I'm able to invest this, well,
Yeah.
one of the great free websites that are out there is called ONET. So ONET is a free kind of career source. So if you don't know what you want to be, you can do a little personality test.
Sure.
But one of the things they'll tell you is with this job or this career, this is the likelihood of what you're going to make in
Okay.
each state. So it breaks down all that sort of workforce information.
Gotcha.
So what you can do is sort of look ahead and say, okay, I'm going to be making $45,000.
Then do the math.
Do I really want a
Right.
$200,000 degree?
Right.
How am I going to pay that
Right.
back? And so like you said, education's,
Right.
there's such a need for educators, whether you have a $200,000
Yep.
degree or
Yep.
a $1,200 from a local college.
Yep.
It's the same job with the same
Right.
salary.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's easy.
Fantastic.
So ONET's a great website that we talk about in the book, but that's one that I think every student it's not pretty, but it's
Sure.
very functional.
Very functional.
Gets you a
It
lot of
works.
good info.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about how to narrow the school down.
Right.
From how many schools do you think a student should narrow it down to? Like how many should average ballpark it on their list?
It depends. We're seeing more students add more colleges,
Okay.
but typically 8 to 12 is kind of
8
where
to 12.
8 to 12.
So don't just like put all your eggs in one basket.
No.
But also don't put 20 on there because then your head's going to spin and
It's gonna be way
that's
too
not
much.
even really making a choice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. All right, so the next question is, so we talked a little bit about it, but paying for school.
Right.
So I came from a situation, it was just myself and my father, and we weren't rich. We were, we were kind of struggling a little bit at certain times a year. And I knew I was meant for college, but I didn't know how I was ever going to pay for it. So what would you tell students that don't have $100,000 just laying around in a sock drawer somewhere in their house?
I don't have $100,000
Yeah.
laying around. Like I said already, colleges can be very affordable.
Mm-hmm.
What people don't know is the price that you see on a college, only 1 out of 10 students actually pay that full
What?
price. 9 out of 10 families do not pay full price.
9 out of 10 families do
9.
not pay. Why doesn't anyone know that?
I know. And so there's 2 different costs you see. So one is cost of attendance. That's that
Okay.
big sticker price. Like when you're looking at a car and they have the
MSRP,
big they have the
yeah.
big sticker price and you're like, oh, 25,000. And you go talk to the guy. You're like, how about 15?
Yeah.
Now we're not going to wheel and deal, but there are ways that we can tap into different money streams. So we
Okay.
got federal government, like grants.
Sure.
We want to ignore loans as long as possible because you
Okay.
got to pay those back. But here, like in our area, we have a local community foundation that provides over $1 million worth of scholarships
Really?
right here for our local community students. So there's schools and programs throughout the nation that you can tap into those local scholarships.
How would a kid find one of those?
I would look up words like foundation, scholarship, committees in your area.
Okay.
Your school counselor usually has a list of them. I've seen some schools that have a nice Excel sheet and they have deadlines
Okay.
and they check off, but a little sleuthing goes pretty far.
Right.
I would focus on programs. So like
Okay.
if I were to go to a college, a lot of times specific programs like honors programs have additional scholarships. So
Really?
if I can go into like the honors program, it could be another $1,500 to $3,000 a year.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so institutions are the number one way to get scholarships. So if I decide to go to University of South Florida, let's
Okay.
say, and so you can look up the percentage of students that actually earn scholarships
Okay.
and the average amount. So as a family, you can kind of judge then, how much am I actually going to pay? And it's a lot of times a lot less than you think.
And then it makes it feel a lot more doable.
It does.
And then,
And realize once you're there, you can ask for research opportunities, work study opportunities, other
kind
scholarships.
of like the equivalent of washing dishes.
Exactly.
For right.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that's amazing. So again, if we're talking about financial stuff, there are, really great community college programs. There are state colleges that are more affordable. There are scholarship opportunities locally, scholarship opportunities nationally.
Yep, absolutely.
And that thing about 9 out of 10 families not paying full price, that's a mind blower. I can't even believe that. So
You can find that information. Again, if you use College Navigator, you can go right on and you can find the percentage. I mean, there are some colleges that 99% of their students earn a scholarship.
wow.
I kind of call it the Kohl's discount, where
Yeah.
everybody gets sort of the
Yeah.
10% off or
How
the
about
20.
that?
But if you know about it,
Right.
then you know kind of what to expect when that award letter comes
Right.
out, and you're able to be more prepared and pick the right college before you even apply.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we talked about narrowing down our list.
Right.
We talked about how to pay for it.
Yeah.
But here's the last thing, and I think this was one of the scariest things for me, is that I knew that college was going to be harder than high school. So what would you tell a student if they're worried about, like, I'm about to sink all this money into it, I'm going to be flying away from home or whatever. How can a student be successful at college? Because I think there are some statistics about a lot of kids dropping out, or there's a high dropout rate. Tell us about that, and then tell us what you would do to combat that.
Okay. So unfortunately, the statistic is 6 out of 10 students who start college either don't complete on time within the 4 years or they drop out completely. So that means only
4 out of 10 make their way through just the way they thought they were going to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's scary.
It is scary. And what's sad is that, these students, they're excited. They've done their work. They
Right.
found their colleges. It's just a lot of times they don't know the college knowledge or the college process. Now, I've worked in higher ed.
Sure.
And we just expect students to understand you need to talk to this
Yeah.
person, you need to talk to this person,
I
and this
remember
person.
that. I remember getting to college, and again, my dad's a blue collar guy.
Yeah.
Didn't go to college, and it was just he and I, and we figured out how to get me into college, and there I was, and I was just like, I don't know what a major is. I don't know who to go see about what. How do I know what classes to take? I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah. And that's very true. And I kind of make an analogy of, let's say I'm going to build a shed and I have 2 people building a shed and I have all your tools and everything here. And, the other person has the same tools and we're going to build this shed together. But I give him a backhoe and I give you a spoon.
Right.
And if you're sitting there digging with a spoon and you don't have that college knowledge, the guy with the backhoe is going to do it a lot
Crushing
faster.
it.
They're going to go
Yeah.
through. So it's really important that you find people around you that can help you through the process. That could
Okay.
be one of your school counselors, a parent, a cousin.
Yeah.
It could be a teacher. It could
Okay.
be somebody at the college. But having somebody navigate it, but also going into college with a plan.
Right.
So one of the things in the book that we talk about, the last chapter, is all about building plans to be successful.
Okay.
And there's 3 ways to be successful. One, financially. You want to make sure if you earn those scholarships, you know what you need to do to keep that scholarship.
Right.
Do I have to keep a certain GPA? Do I
Right.
have to do volunteer hours?
Yep.
What do I have to do? And then where's the budget shortfall? So how much do I have to make up? Am I going to work during the summer? Am I going to get a part-time job?
Yep.
So really making a plan for all 2 or 4 years that you're going to pay for college and hopefully come out debt-free.
Okay.
The second one is having an academic plan. So who are my points of contact and what do I need to do to make sure that I stay on my academic path,
Right.
my career path, and who can help me do that?
Yeah.
And going in with that sort of self-advocacy
Yeah.
that I can do that is super important. And lastly is having a social plan. What am I going to get involved in? Do I like doing
Yeah.
extracurriculars and volunteer? Do I want to go to the wellness center and do trips over the weekend? But what am I going to do to actually fill my cup, to build
Right.
me up? So I not only have the academic skills, but I have those personal and professional skills.
That's right.
So when I'm done, I can do exactly what I need to do.
And also, that's got to be a fair percentage of kids that don't finish their college degree because they get homesick and they come home and they're not meeting friends and the people. Yeah, and you're right. If I could do college over again, so I did luckily finish well, but I wish I got more involved.
100%
There's so
me
many
too.
things. There's so many things. There were like wiffle ball teams and basketball teams and clubs, organizations, professional organizations that you could get into, different honor societies for different things. And I look back and I'm like, man, that was an opportunity not just to like get the knowledge and get out of here and pay my bills and whatever, but it was also to just have an awesome time while being productive. Because I think everyone knows that you can have fun at college, you know? And I think sometimes students can put that higher up on the importance list. And so that's okay, but there are ways to be successful, stay safe, and have a ton of fun, meet lots of people. And so I like that, having a social plan, because if you don't, I mean, it's just like when you get your driver's license, that creates a lot of hard decisions to make, you know? Like you could maybe not go to school, or you could maybe leave at lunch, or you maybe could go somewhere you're not supposed to. So like when you get to college, there's a whole new realm of possibilities of the trouble you could get into. Going into it with a plan and a goal might save you a lot of.
And that's why actually writing it down, actually
Right.
looking at what's every semester, what are my tasks that I need to
Yeah.
do? It's amazing how many kids just forget to register for the next semester.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're registering late and you have not the best professors. You have
Yeah.
the worst
You got
time,
the bottom of the barrel. Yep.
the night classes, the things
Yep.
that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And so that way, if you can go into it knowing what are my opportunities and actually developing an action plan, you're going to be much more successful all the way through from the very beginning, which is what we want, is you to not only start college, but also complete college.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Stirk, thank you so much for coming in. This is such a big deal. This is an awesome book. Guys, make sure you get this. School counselors, teachers, if you're watching this, make sure you get your copies of this. You can go on Amazon, and this is what I wished I had, and I'm sure there are a million students across the country and the world that are watching like, oh yeah, that does look good. So
That's awesome.
It's such a big deal, the mission that you're on and the work that you're doing. I appreciate you, and thanks for making the time to come on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.